Y'all, you got to hear what Charlotte Flair just said about the Four Horsewomen of WWE. I'm talking about Becky Lynch, Bayley, Mercedes Moné, and Charlotte Flair. She's opened up on the complex and often strained relationship between the four women who revolutionized this business. She did so in the Players Tribune, and it's something that I think people need to pay attention closer to. Not just because of the impact that these women have laid on pro wrestling, but in the fact that the impact of what they have done with each other. I mean, think about it. They were at a time in WWE where women's wrestling was not where it is today. We were still in the Divas era where we were getting, 3, 4, 5 minute matches, including entrances, which is absolutely bananas. You couldn't punch, you couldn't throw forearms. Like, this was women's wrestling. And these women, alongside Soraya and Emma and Mickey James and Awesome Kong and Gail Kim and Trish Stratus and all these others, they started to slowly chip away at what we know now as women's wrestling. There's been a lot of misinformation. There's been a lot of mis thought process out there regarding these women, right? Because when we think of the Four Horsewomen, we always think, oh, they were the bestest of friends, and that's simply not the case. Because over the years, members, especially Becky and Bayley, and sometimes Charlotte, has come out and talked about how they weren't necessarily the closest. Like Mercedes and Bayley were always close, and Becky and Charlotte, they were pretty good friends, but they weren't like the bestest of friends. Like if you want to look at best friends, it was Bayley and it was Mercedes Moné. Now, in this Players Tribune, the multiple-time champion got brutally honest about where things stand between the Four Horsewomen. And she said, we definitely had our ups and downs over the years. I won't pretend that we're best friends or that we're even friends at this moment. I won't pretend that there's a Four Horsewomen group chat. I'll send this article to when it gets published. I think it doesn't make me sad sometimes, but I think it's part of life, especially at the highest levels of professional competition. But this is where she gets really interested. She gets really interesting in regards to her comments, which is stating on a professional level, the respect between us is absolute, and the bonds we share are indestructible. There's not another person alive who knows what we've been through as a group or what it's taken for us to all be active and to be at this top of our games. As women working in the business that's learning how to still treat women. Yes. Yes. Now, there has, in recent months, and I've addressed this in a recent video, but it's like, oh, we're still going to get that Four Horsewomen Fatal 4-Way, right? One of the matches that we never got to see in WWE, despite the fact that all four women worked in WWE for the longest time. What would happen? And we got close, right? 2016, WrestleMania 32, Charlotte, Becky, and Mercedes going out there working a triple threat match. That was the same night that WWE converted the Divas Championship to the Women's Championship, bringing back the Women's Championship because they were no longer called Divas. That was a very great match. It was a really great match. I highly recommend it. But we never got the Fatal 4-Way. I cannot tell you why we never got the Fatal 4-Way. Was that a mistake on WWE's part? I would say so. It's like them never doing various matches over the years that we have looked at as dream matches, matches that must happen, that should happen, right? But WWE just never did them. Well, the Four Horsewomen, that never happened, right? Like the Fatal 4-Way never happened. Now, we've seen them all mix it up in the ring together, whether it's singles or ties or triple threats or multiple person matches, but the Fatal 4-Way just never got it. Now, I've recently talked about how I do not see this ever happening because there's too many problems in the way of getting this completed. You look at number one, Mercedes Moné is not in WWE. She's in AEW. She's under a multi-year deal with AEW, something which started in 2024. Typically, when you hear multi-year deals, it's 3 to 5. Well, we know that Mercedes Moné, reportedly at least, is the highest paid female in all of wrestling. If I had to guess, that's a 5-year deal. I can't see Tony Khan signing her to a 2-year deal and paying her all that money. Could be wrong, but I just don't see it. Okay. And she's been very defensive on social media in regards to fans. Stop asking me about returning to WWE. Just watch AEW instead, which I totally get, right? We also have a few different elements involved here. We have Becky Lynch. She has been eyeing Hollywood. She most recently was in Happy Gilmore 2 out on Netflix. She is filming more and more roles for Hollywood. She clearly has her eyes set on that, and she directly came back to WWE for this last run to work with Lyra Valkyria. We have Charlotte Flair, who has just hit 40. She probably has another 3 years, 5 years to go. And you have Bayley, who is winding things down, and I can absolutely see her becoming a backstage agent and or a player's coach. But I think her days as like main eventer is over. Although she's had an amazing feud with Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria this year. I just think that her pecking order is different. So if Bayley goes into a backstage agent and Mercedes returns, well, you still can't get that. And if Becky steps away for Hollywood and Mercedes returns, then it gets in the way of that. And if Mercedes Moné never returns to WWE, then you never get that either. So there's, the more components that you add, the more challenges are in your way, because now you're dealing with a different set of dominoes, right? That's where WWE is right now. And it sucks for them, right? Like, you wish it wasn't like this, but I just don't see a situation in which WWE can overcome those hurdles and get it to where you need it to be, right? We will see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we get this match. But if I'm just looking at it on paper, it doesn't give me a lot of sense of optimism here. I don't see it happening. But like I said, I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments area below. Do you think this match ever gets done? I will see y'all in the next video.